You are not king of my.
So here's the police taking down our banner. They're quite happy with people displaying other flags and bunting all the way along, but banners challenging the monarchy, you all know they can't allow that. There's no law to enforce here. They're simply taking the banner off because they don't want it on there, claiming it's their property. So the police are behaving pretty contemptibly right now.
So let's talk about what went down during King Charles's birthday parade. You've got protesters out there holding signs like "Not My King" and "Down with the Crown." Loud, yes, uncomfortable, sure, but also completely legal in a democracy that claims it believes in free speech. That's the whole point. Now, here's where things get messy. Reports and footage show police stepping in to remove banners, with explanations that honestly didn't convince a lot of people. And that's why the backlash kicked off so fast, because the second you start touching peaceful protest signs, people start asking, hold up, who exactly is this system protecting? And that question is not going away. Groups like Republic are basically saying out loud what a growing chunk of the public already feels. Why is this institution treated like it sits above normal criticism, while ordinary people are expected to just clap politely and move along? Then you zoom out and the frustration multiplies, because on one side you've got strict reactions to protest signs in public ceremonies, and on the other side you've got years of non-stop media attacks, headlines and personal digs aimed at Harry and Meghan, with barely any accountability anywhere in sight. That contrast is what really gets people talking. It creates this awkward public perception where it looks like criticism in one direction gets shut down quickly, while criticism in another direction gets recycled for clicks 24/7. And regular people notice that inconsistency immediately. They might not follow royal protocol, they might not care about palace titles, but they understand fairness when they see it. If you can't hold up a banner without drama, but tabloids can run wild every day with whatever narrative they want, people are going to ask questions. Simple as that. And that's why this whole situation keeps feeding the bigger debate about the monarchy itself. Not in an academic way, in a real-life I pay bills and use common sense way. Because at the end of the day, if an institution relies on public support, public money, and public space, then people are always going to expect one thing in return: accountability, transparency, and the ability to be questioned without panic setting in. And when that balance feels off, people start moving from frustration to full-on rejection of the system. That's where conversations like abolition don't come from nowhere. They come from moments like this, where people feel the rules don't apply evenly. And once that idea takes hold, it doesn't really go back in the box. We also had clips circulating online from the event showing public reactions around Kate Middleton and the kids. Some viewers interpreted moments in different ways. People online always do. In crowded, high-pressure public events, reactions get read, reread, and turned into whole narratives within minutes. That's just the internet being the internet. But again, what stands out isn't one clip or one moment. It's the pattern people think they're seeing. On one hand, protesters feel restricted for holding banners in a public space. On the other hand, critics argue the monarchy operates behind layers of protection, ceremony, and media management that make real accountability feel distant. And whether you agree with that or not, that's the conversation bubbling up more and more in regular households. Not in academic language, not in palace briefing terms, in plain talk. People look at their own lives, rent, bills, work, stress, and they start questioning systems that feel untouchable, especially when those systems are publicly funded. And that's where the bigger debate sits. Republic is basically pushing one idea. If leadership is going to exist, it should be chosen, not inherited. That's the core argument. No mystery there. And moments like this protest just bring that argument back into the spotlight again and again, because every time there's tension around protest, policing, or public messaging at royal events, it pushes people to re-evaluate what tradition actually means versus what democratic accountability should look like in 2026. And for a growing number of people, the conclusion is becoming louder and simpler. If you're going to call it a modern democracy, then nothing, absolutely nothing, should be above public challenge. Let's cut straight through it. At King Charles's birthday parade, Republic protesters showed up with simple political banners, "Not My King" and "Down with the Crown." No ambiguity, just open dissent in public space. Then the Met Police stepped in and removed them, reportedly citing police property as justification. The banners were later returned, but the moment had already happened. The cameras had caught it, the clips are online, and the public is asking why it happened at all. The official explanation around police property hasn't really settled anything. If anything, it's made things murkier, because from the outside, it looks like interference with peaceful expression in a setting where visibility is the entire point. And that's where the frustration starts building. People notice patterns, they always do. When criticism of the monarchy appears in public spaces, it often feels tightly managed, quickly contained, or redirected. But when criticism of figures like Harry and Meghan appear in parts of the media, it doesn't feel contained at all. It feels amplified, repeated, and monetized endlessly. That contrast is what people are reacting to. Not everyone agrees on the monarchy itself, but more and more people are asking a simpler question. Why does accountability feel different depending on who the subject is? Because if you strip away the ceremony, the uniforms, and the tradition, what's left is a public institution that still relies on public space, public money, and public consent, but seems highly sensitive to public dissent when it's visible in the wrong place. And that's the tension sitting underneath all of this. It's not about one banner or one event. It's about how comfortable a modern system is with being questioned in real time, in public, without filters. And once people start noticing how quickly certain voices get managed while others are left to run freely in the media ecosystem, the conversation doesn't stay polite anymore. It starts to shift towards bigger questions about what accountability is supposed to look like in practice. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Despite all these boos, you've got ongoing public frustration about how different public figures are treated in the media landscape. Harry and Meghan, for example, are constantly discussed in the press, often in a highly negative tone according to their supporters, while others feel senior royals like William and Catherine are treated more gently by comparison. That contrast is what keeps this debate alive, and it leads to a bigger question people keep circling back to: accountability. Because when you strip away the titles and tradition, people are still asking what they're getting in return for public funding that supports royal security, royal households, and state ceremonies. Supporters say it's about national identity, diplomacy, and continuity. Critics say the return on investment is mostly symbolic, ceremony, optics, and tradition, while real scrutiny feels uneven depending on who is being discussed. That's where frustration builds, not because people don't understand tradition, but because they live in a world where everything else is measured by performance, cost, and results. Jobs, services, public spending, everything gets questioned. So when an institution funded by taxpayers appears insulated from the same level of scrutiny, people notice. And when protest banners get removed in real time, while media narratives about certain individuals run freely in years without interruption, people start connecting dots, fairly or not, about power, influence, and control of image. Because at the end of the day, people aren't just watching the ceremony anymore. They're watching how dissent is handled around it, and asking who really benefits from the system and at what cost. Thank you so much for watching. I'm your host, Miles, and today's topic has been, let's just say, spicy. If you enjoyed the breakdown, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next upload, because you already know this story is going to keep evolving. And remember, stay smart, stay aware, and don't let the headlines do all your thinking for you. God bless you all, stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.